right, welcome back to another episode of Weightlifting Academy, the only show dedicated to putting 10,000 new lifters on the platform in 2012. And I have got with me my friend, Ivan Rojas. I was going to call you Risto because of your company. And you guys are so sneaky with your names. We'll get into that a little later, why I just said that and why I say it's sneaky. When we talk about your company, Risto Sports. But why don't you give me a little rundown of who you are, what you do, so the audience can get to know you a little bit.
There's not much about me. I'm just a weightlifter. That's it.
You just pick stuff up.
First nationals in 1981. Competed from 1981 to 2007. And
Awesome.
Started coaching full time after that. I did coach a lot before, but I focused into coaching in 2008.
Okay.
I've been coaching since 1996, but not as a full time, just, after work, weekends. I didn't have a 9-to-5 job, you had to wear a tie and stuff like that. And there was a point I couldn't take it anymore, and I just decided to do what I like doing, weightlifting.
So you're telling me you don't wear a suit and tie in the gym?
Hell no.
You're not that kind of coach.
No.
That's good. So that's great. And you also run a company.
Yes, Risto Sports.
Risto Sports, right on. And if you've been paying attention to the show at all, you've seen the interview, hopefully, with your wife, Gwen Sisto, who you co-own this company with. And your last name and her last name, I assume, are the inspiration for the name Risto.
Yes, Rojas Sisto.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you mentioned a little bit about your early start. What was the first time you were introduced to weightlifting? How young were you?
Yeah, I was actually, it was when I was 15. Well, when I was 12, I started soccer and I was pretty good at it. I lived in South America back then.
Okay.
And I was really going into this projection to be professional one day. I was a goalie.
Oh, okay.
Lots of people forecast a brilliant future in soccer as a goalie. A lot of people would say I was going to be in the national team by age 16. Wow. As a matter of fact, when I was 12, I got to play show game with the major leagues, with the pros. I was tall for my age, and they put me to play with the pros at an exhibition game.
Okay.
Didn't do well, and that kind of didn't like that. And
okay.
I started looking for other things, cycling, and then I found judo, and I started judo, and I was judo all the time. I was good at it. I was a national champion at age 15.
Wow, okay, that's fantastic.
In judo, we compete by weight classes as well.
Sure.
But there is a style, it's called the freestyle, or the free, which is the last day of the competition, which is everybody against everybody. You could fight somebody who weighs 360 pounds.
They take away the weight classes.
Yes, that's
okay. I see. Yeah.
Which just shows a technique, and I was good at. However, I was not strong enough. And we were going to the Pan Ams 1981 in judo, or the Worlds, I think, either or.
Yeah.
So we were 4 or 5 months out to that trip. And my coach or sensei, if you will, sent me to do some. Well, he was a visionary, and he knew that snatch and clean and jerk would give me what I needed to compete in judo.
Wow,
so he sent me to learn the lifts, and they're still waiting for me at the dojo. Never went back. And in judo, and I competed ever since. I just got hooked to weightlifting. That's all I wanted.
That was it. After that,
yeah.
That sensei never saw you again.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So you moved into weightlifting. Then you were still pretty young. Then you said you were maybe a teenager.
Yeah, 15.
15. Oh, okay. Yes,
I did okay. I was competing in South American competitions, international competitions, because I went to the American school. I spoke English, of course.
Yeah.
My whole education was into the American system. So because of that, I was always invited to go to international competitions, training seminars, and one of the federations, they wanted me to take advantage of the fact that I was able to speak English. So they sent me to take part into coaching courses in Bulgaria, Poland, the Soviet Union, you
Yeah.
name it. So
Yeah.
and as a matter of fact, I was able um, to go to Germany. I mean, East Germany at the time was still the
Yes.
Eastern countries, Eastern Europe countries, the Iron Curtain. So
Yeah.
I got to study pretty much for a long time weightlifting in East Germany.
Wow. That's really fascinating. Do you feel like there was at that time in your life, were you already cognizant of there being any kind of difference maybe between the kind of training you were getting at home
Absolutely,
and then
absolutely. There's always been this misconception, everybody all over the world, they think if you're a weightlifter, you do bench press and that's it, and you have big muscles. I
yeah,
was a 147 pounder, 67 kilo and a half lifter, and in Poland, I understood that the it was all about technique, flexibility, speed,
yeah,
uh, having your mutant fibers work, fast fibers. So technique is really important.
yes,
That was my understanding, and ever since that was my focus. I was able to my best as a 67 kilo and a half. That time was 112 kilos a snatch, 140, 142 clean and jerk,
nice.
which for the 80s and for South America was that was a good total. Nowadays, nah, that wouldn't take you anywhere, not even as a 56.
I'm sure there are a lot of people listening right now who are double that body weight, and wish they had the same numbers on the bar.
Well, you
It's
see,
still good. It's still a
it
very good
has
lift. Yeah.
changed since the 80s.
Yeah.
One of the things in the 80s was the world. I mean, there were very prestigious cups that I don't see anymore. There was still there is the Manuel Suarez in memoriam in Cuba,
Okay.
which was a World Cup. You had lifters from the Soviet Union, Bulgaria, Hungary, Poland, you name it. And you had the Blues World Cup. You have the Gala Cup. In those cups, you would say first the guy from the Soviet Union, second the guy from Bulgaria.
Yeah.
If there was a Hungarian, was the third. But
Okay.
then you would see the difference. You would see everybody else. The difference between the first, the second, and the third would be 2.5, 5 kilos. That was before the kilo increase.
Sure.
And then from the third to the fourth, it could be 40, 50 kilos difference.
Really?
Oh
In the
yeah.
total?
These days
Yeah.
you would see difference of 2 kilos between the first and the 10th.
Yes.
So weightlifting has evolved a lot ever since,
Sure.
and I would say it's been more control, if you will. There's not as much uh, drug abuse as there used to be in the 80s,
Yeah. Yeah.
where truth is drug tests was just they they did the tests, but they would just take samples and they would never do it. Just to give you
Okay.
an example, back in the days in the 80s, 83, 82, unless it was the Pan Am Games, it was the World Cup, there were just very few tests because countries didn't have technology.
Okay.
I remember in the 1988 World Cup, Manuel Suarez, they took lots of samples. And I asked somebody, how are they doing the samples? And they said, well, we should send this to Germany, and it costs like 100 or like $80 per test. We can't afford this, so we're not doing it.
Yeah.
So it was, as I said, there was not much control then. Hence, the numbers were crazy.
Yeah.
In 1981, in Lille, I'm sure the pronunciation is right, in France, the Worlds, there were 27 world records in one competition
Wow.
broken. Just one competition. So
Wow.
this was out of control. Last year, the Worlds in France, I saw only 2 or 3 world records.
Yeah.
So lots of difference.
Yeah, that's pretty substantial difference, without a doubt.
Right.
Yeah, and the drug testing, I guess they got a little more serious in the early 90s. So this
In
is
the night, well, good point. This is the
when
thing.
did this really shift, do you think?
Well, yes, but then, well, they started getting a little more serious about that. There's always the sport of weightlifting always has had this problem.
Sure.
And there's always the threat that is going to be kicked out from the Olympic program, yada yada yada.
Course, yeah.
So what they did is they started really going too serious into it, and where drug test was not as deep as it should have been in the 80s, it became really deep. So what it is, they started it became so advanced that in the 90s they were able to find a millionth of a gram of any substance in an athlete.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
So if somebody smoked something, you got into that room and you inhaled that, you were going to test positive as well.
Right.
So finding the levels, I think that was the next step.
I see.
And if you remember, they had to change in the 90s. They had to change weight classes. Okay?
Right, so that the records wouldn't be... You didn't want a situation where the old records were always bigger.
Yeah, and they have to change weight classes. They have to change to, I want to say 54, 59, 64, 70, 76, 83, 91, 99,
Nice.
108, and 108 plus.
Right.
It worked for a few years, but then in the 95, I think they have to change to our current weight classes.
Yeah. I always found that interesting that there was the weight classes you just listed off only lasted for maybe 3 or 4 years at the most.
Right.
It was pretty quick. And that is just the reason that existed is because what you said, that they were still trying to figure out how to test correctly.
Absolutely.
Or how to test well. So, going back a little bit to the differences in training styles and things like that, you've had the very unique and enviable experience of being able to have trained in a lot of places, seen a lot of different training styles all around the world. And I'd like to kind of touch on some of those and some of your thoughts about them. So can you start with how training was for you when you first started in South America when you were just beginning? What kind of stuff were you doing?
Well, I was just doing whatever, lifting weights like crazy. Lifting weights like crazy, like loony, just lift as much as I could. That's it, not technique whatsoever. Yeah. And I did okay.
Yeah.
I did okay. Then a coach from Poland was visiting South America, Central America. He's worked in many different countries. And he saw me, and, well, he saw potential, I guess, in me. And this coach, he took me under his wing, and he started coaching me, the real Soviet system.
Okay, yeah.
And he liked me so much. He's the one that made it possible for me to go all over.
Yeah.
And funny thing, this coach, Karol Czarkowski, had been the coach of Sigmund Smarchek, our national coach.
Wow.
Therefore, when I met Sigmund, I say, "Hey, my coach was Karol." He just hugged me. He was very emotional because we
That's
had
great.
this thing, right?
Yeah.
And so because of him, I was able to go to the Soviet Union, and I did learn a lot.
Yeah.
Number one, to start with, the real founders, the founding fathers of modern weightlifting, believe it or not, are not physical education teachers. They are not athletes. They were the intellectuals that were creating the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917. So they were preparing, all these communist ideas with Marx, Lenin, Hegel, all those guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And well, they were going to fight the Tsar. The Tsar had his army, the imperial army, if you will,
Right.
and they didn't have an army. They only had workers. So these intellectuals, besides reading the Communist Manifest by Karl Marx and all this theory to prepare their revolution, they they felt they needed to prepare the workers in the military training. So
Okay.
they got them to use they had to teach them to use guns and also physical training. What could they do for physical training? Kettlebells, which is in the Russian folklore. So they started using kettlebells, and kettlebells was the origin of modern weightlifting. Then they started doing, of course, competitions. Human being is a competitive being. We
Yeah.
always try to compete in anything.
Yeah. I can't seem to help that.
You have something. You have to have something else. It's a.
Yeah.
So they started competing. They started doing lots of research. Keep in mind, they were intellectuals.
Yeah.
So they started their own league and everything. And workers from the steel workers made barbells, and that was the actual origin. And then, of course, the Olympic Games was introduced, and it just came like that. And then also the Imperial Army also used kettlebells, but with a different purpose. The purpose was to physical therapy for the wounded soldiers from the fighting the revolutionaries.
That's
Uh,
pretty advanced when you think about it. I mean, the idea of using weight training of some kind to help physical therapy, that
yeah,
sounds
and
so modern.
kettlebells, and
Yeah.
also war with Japan in 1904 was very, it was a milestone for the Imperial Army to find ways to rehabilitate their wounded soldiers. So it all evolved from them, and one of the things they always found out is the only way to get stronger and not get injured
Yeah.
is to do high volume, lots of repetitions, to found a basis,
Sure. Yeah.
okay, to make the muscle stronger,
Right.
and that hence the high volume of the Russian system.
Which is
And there were lots of people, lots of researchers, Medvedev, and all the people that we normally read or talk about.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. All the names that we know of. Um, that's a pretty fascinating story, actually. Uh, Hearing that. And this idea of volume as sort of like a cornerstone of training is something that seems to get argued about a lot. Can you go into a little bit your arguments for this, and how you tend to use it in coaching lifters, um, even what it means? I mean, there's this potential even that people listening right now, you're not exactly sure what you mean. You certainly don't mean the volume on your stereo.
Right. Okay. Well, most of the leading countries in weightlifting
Yeah.
have always used the Soviet youth system as the basis of their own system, with some adjustments.
Sure.
Um, Even the Bulgarian system at one point uses high volume.
Yes.
I know a lot of purists of the Bulgarian system style would say no. Well, truth is, I spent a lot of time in Bulgaria,
Yeah.
and I've seen doing lots of volume.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one of the things, the for example, Turkey, they did so well using this program, so uh, they applied to its system, and they did get great results.
Yeah.
But then Turkey started going after 2000 to 1996. They started going not as well. They went back to the old system, to the Russian system,
Okay.
and they also, or the high volume system, and they started going better results. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, new things, new ideas came into the Soviet Union. Weightlifters tried to also see what other people were doing. And one thing that really captured them was the fact that in the Western world they could actually make lots of money by being strong. So a lot of those great lifters became strong men. They started doing bodybuilding. They started professional competitions of bodybuilding, strongman, etc., even powerlifting. So they kind of tried to do a new things, and there is a little decline in the Russian lifters. I was telling you about the study of Medvedev.
Yes.
That he did on the female lifters. At that point, the Chinese lifters in the preparatory competitive phase were doing about 10 to 12 weeks. They were doing 4,633 repetitions, snatches, cleans and jerks, pulls, and squats.
Okay.
Bulgarian lifters were doing 4,093 repetitions.
That's the Bulgarian lifters, yeah.
Yes. And Russians were doing 3,333.
Okay.
So
the Russians were actually doing less.
Less than the Bulgarians.
Yes. That must blow people's minds right now.
Yeah. If you go to ristosports.com/blog, you'll see this study.
Yeah.
Also,
I'll link to it in the show notes for this episode.
And it was the 70% and up, and also there is the Starabutsev chart, which is the master of a sport chart, meaning working on zone 1 and 2, 80%, 90% and up. So there's that detail. But now, because in the 80s, I was able to go to the Soviet Union. Any Latin American athlete at that time had to go to Cuba. I don't know why. If you were a high-level athlete in South America, Central America, you had to go to Cuba. That was the first step.
Well, the weather is pretty good.
Yeah. Now, Cuba, if you see the Olympic history since 1959, 1960, it's a big player in many sports. Basket, wrestling, volleyball, track and field.
Right.
They have fantastic athletes. Now, Cuba is an extremely poor country.
Yes.
10 million people.
Yeah, small country.
In weightlifting, they had 4 or 6 spots for the Olympics.
So they're doing okay.
They do well.
Yeah.
They have had Olympic champions.
Yeah.
Okay. They had Olympic champions. And they have in many sports, not only in weightlifting. But what is the key of their secret? Oh, many people will say, it's the drugs. It's not. It's not. If you since 1983 to 2012, you will see very few cases of doping involving Cuban weightlifters.
Yeah.
Now, what is the secret? So I studied this system, which of course is based on the Soviet system, and it's a fantastic system. It's called strategic direction, which is the system that we applied with our athletes with good results. Now, this is Cuba. Every Olympic cycle prepares around 1,100 people, 1,100 people, give or take, are involved into going to the Olympics.
Okay.
That is for all the sports, the 28 Olympic sports.
Okay.
That is athletes, coaches, medical personnel, etc., etc. And they all work under the same sport system or training system, which is the strategic direction.
So no matter what sport you're in, they all agree on the basic philosophy.
Yes. And this system is called, once again, strategic direction, and it has 3 bases. Assessment, test, and forecast.
Okay.
All right. The assessment. Let's apply everything to weightlifting.
Sure.
I have a new weightlifter. That comes to me. What I do is I tell the lifter, okay, do your lifting. I'm not here. Now, sometimes that I have trained a full team or some international athletes.
Sure.
I don't tell them anything for 4 or 5 days. And I see them, what they are doing. And we do a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we write down. We focus in their weaknesses because those are the areas that we have to work so that those weaknesses would become their strengths. Sure. And every athlete is different.
Yeah.
So let's say a big problem I see in the U.S. is I call them the butt lifters, meaning they use their butt, they lift the butt before lifting the bar. That's a big problem here.
The
Very
butt comes up first and before the bar even starts moving off the ground.
Yes, the last 2 international athletes we trained here for the Pan Ams and for the Olympic trials from Guatemala also had the same problem. So fixing that is pretty easy. Yeah. We do an exercise, we do snatch pulls with a slow return. So they do a regular snatch pull and they return the bar slow, extremely slow.
So they're actually working that eccentric phase of the snatch pull on purpose.
Then we do a few slow snatches, a few exercises. So what it is we work on correcting those exercises. So that's the assessment.
Okay.
Now, then we plan a program based on high number of repetitions. We're talking about 500 repetitions and up, from 500 to 580.
Is this total for all the exercises? Or
yes,
okay.
yes.
And when you say repetitions, are you counting reps only above a certain percentage?
That's correct, 70% and 80% up.
Okay.
So then it comes the test. So on a Friday or on a Sunday, the last day of the week, or in workout number 11 or number 2, we do a test, like a total.
Okay.
So that would be the second basis of the system, test, to see how much they have improved. And they have improved because we have fixed the technical problem.
Sure, yeah.
Now, it comes here, the beautiful of this system, forecast.
Okay.
You're able to forecast how much a lifter will be doing after doing this many repetitions,
sure.
Or after doing this, okay? So we have, we use different means of forecasting the potential of the lifter.
Okay.
One of those would be the back squat. The back squat is a fantastic exercise. Not only works, not only uses or makes 300 different muscles work.
Yeah.
Right? But it also will give us a forecast of how much you will be lifting.
Okay.
Now, for the Cuban system, your back squat should be the 72.7% of your Olympic total.
Okay, so that's the goal you're looking at, is you should be able to have a back squat.
That balance.
Okay.
So, let's say my lifter is doing, let's say, 320 Olympic total, 140 in snatch, 180 in clean and jerk.
Okay.
So the back squat should be somewhere around 232 kilos.
Okay.
We're gonna keep that balance.
Okay.
So
if the back squat goes up, then the total should also go up.
That was my question. So how do we increase somebody's total?
Right.
By increasing the back squat. Also, keeping the balance of the snatch and the clean and jerk technique. Technique is extremely, extremely important.
Right.
It's everything.
Right. Because no matter how strong you are, if you're not efficient enough to move that bar correctly,
yes,
it doesn't matter.
So,
you go into football land.
Then the next thing take into consideration with the forecast is we try to hit 3 front squats with the target goal you're looking to lift. Let's say you are at 120 kilos in clean and jerk. We want you to go to 130 kilos.
Okay.
So we'll look the corresponding percentage in back squat, but we also want you to do 3 repetitions of front squat with 130.
I see. Okay.
Now, this is a very, very German approach. This is what the German national teams does. This is what I learned in Germany.
Okay.
Then another thing that we look for is we look for the 80% of your snatch in power snatch. If you're doing 100 kilos in a snatch, we want you to do 80 kilos in power snatch.
What happens if you have a lifter who, let's say they power snatch 85, 90? Does that tell you they're not efficient enough on the full snatch?
They should be able to, well,
full snatch more.
Well, basically, okay. Here, every lift is a power snatch. Going to squat is a tool that will let you lift 20% more. Okay?
Yeah.
So if the lifter is not lifting 20% more than the power snatch, you need to ID what the problem is.
Okay. So that tells you something if their max snatch is 100, but they're power snatching 90. That's telling you something that they're missing something.
Yeah, you need to see is the relation of the back squat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's okay. The fantastic back squatter, big back squat. Now, going down, okay, the lifter goes down well, but there's something. Okay. And 90% of athletes that talk to me, they say, oh, my problem is my low back. My back needs to get stronger. When I get emails from athletes, what exercises to get stronger in the back? Truth is, Nick, since day one you start lifting weights, your back is working. Every lifter's back is strong. The problem most of the time is the core muscles, not core, especially the lat core. Okay. So in that particular case, if we ID that that's the problem, what we'll do is we do exercises just for that area. Now, not to confuse your core strength with your six pack.
Okay.
There are lots of people that have fantastic six packs, but that's different.
Yeah.
We're talking about not looking good, but function.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, to fix that, what we do is we do one set of squats and one set of crunches.
Okay.
We do the crunches in between sets of the squats. Okay. That should give you the squat, the strength in that area.
So in some sense, you're fatiguing more than you normally would the core area during your squat session, which forces the rest of your core area to really work pretty hard in order to keep you going.
Yeah, that worked great.
That's pretty interesting.
Now, another thing that we it's very important in weightlifting, another thing that we pay attention to is velocity, speed of the bar.
Velocity, okay.
Yeah, we do have a device that measures the speed of the bar and the path of the bar, of course. Sure. Now, there always has to be this relation. Just to give an example, international athletes, the speed of the bar in the snatch, in the first lifting the bar at 70% could be 1.7 meters per second.
Okay.
And going under the bar should be 1.6. But you will see that a lot of lifters, they lift and they crash under the bar. They go faster under the bar. They don't break. So the speed of the bar going under the bar, fixing the final position, should be slower than lifting the bar.
I think that's a really important point, actually. I think I'm going to reiterate that for the audience, that that there is a subtle difference there in the speed going under the bar, and it's a little slower.
Absolutely.
The speed going
Getting into position.
Yeah.
Now, in competition, that'll allow you, if needed, to fight the bar. Mm-hmm. You can control the bar. You have to control the bar.
Yeah. I have a saying I like, which is always control the bar, don't let the bar control you.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times when you see a lifter, especially when they're maybe fatigued or something like that, they lift a weight, they dive under too fast, it lands on you, crashes your lockout, hits you on the back, horribleness ensues. And
now,
that is, I think, a direct cause, or directly caused by what you just said, where you dove under the bar too fast, and you actually beat the bar to the bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the other aspect that we pay attention to is how close the bar is to your body. Okay. The bar needs to brush your body as close as possible. Because when we lift weights, lifting weights is a leverage action. Okay? Yes. Your body is the lever.
Yeah.
And there's a leaning point, as in any other lever, which is your spine.
Sure.
Okay? Now, one of the things is when the bar that weighs 20 kilos is a third of an inch away from you, the stress on your spine multiplies by 15.
That's an interesting.
Instead of doing a snatch with an empty bar only a third of an inch away from you, you're actually putting stress of 300 pounds. If you're doing, let's say, as in other 3 snatches with 50 kilos, and the bar is a third of an inch away from you, you're putting a stress of 2,250 pounds.
That's a lot of stress.
For every third of an inch.
Okay, so the farther it gets away from your body, the worse it gets.
After 2 inches, it's 30 times more. So let's say you did a total of 90 snatches with 45 kilos. Then we are talking 12,000 pounds of extra kilos, 12,000 kilos of extra pressure in your spine. Now, keep in mind, soccer, for example, the ratio of soccer injuries is almost 100 per 1,000.
Wow.
Okay? Now, weightlifting is from 1 to 5 for 1,000. Weightlifting should be a very safe sport.
Yes.
And the reason a lot of people are getting injured is because they are doing this. They are keeping the bar away from the lever, from your body. That's something that we emphasize. We have special exercises to force the lifter to brush the bar as close as possible. Okay. And that's how the bar feels lighter, right?
Yeah.
That's one other thing. Also, another aspect that we really take into consideration is this, body fat composition of our lifters.
Okay.
I'm not saying lose weight.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is not a fatness center here. Here we train athletes to compete at high level.
So even just keeping the body weight stagnant, you're talking about shifting composition.
It's very important for us this. For example, we have a super heavy lifter that comes with 130 kilos body weight and competes in 105 plus. After 7 weeks, we want this lifter to weigh the same. Okay. But we want the lifter to have lowered the body fat composition.
Okay, so they've replaced that with lean mass.
Muscle. Yeah. But why lean muscle? To look good again, to go to the... No, not really.
To get a girlfriend, of course.
Oh, besides that, this is a theory. If you take an elastic band and you do this operation, and you stretch out and let it go, it's going to come like this fast.
Yeah.
Now, take the same elastic band, put it into a bucket full of oil, stretch and let it go. It's going to come slower.
Okay.
The same, your muscles. The leaner they are, your muscles, the quicker they are going to be.
Okay.
Okay. Now we also use a lot of the fibers, uh, slow fibers, twitch fibers, fast fibers, and also we put lots of emphasis on the third type of fibers, the mutant fibers.
Can you explain those a little bit? The mutant fiber,
Oh,
what that
yeah,
means?
yeah, absolutely. I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert in the field, and I'll put in plain English.
Yeah.
Everybody knows we have the slow fibers and the fast fibers.
Yes.
We also have a third type of fibers, which we call the mutant of migrant fibers.
Okay.
This type of fibers would go either to the slow or to the fast side, depending whenever they are needed, whenever they are called,
Okay.
providing the athlete gives the proper stimuli to it.
Okay.
Right? Now, to have these mutant fibers to migrate towards the slow side is pretty easy. You will see there's so many cases of a lot of people, obese people, overweight people, they start a running program. And after a few months, besides the fact they lost weight, they start running marathons.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing fact.
Yeah.
What happens is,
In only a few months, their muscles are capable of running a marathon.
yes, what happens in these cases is that calling those muscles, calling the mutant fibers into the slow side,
Yeah.
it's pretty easy. It only requires little slow practice.
Sure.
Now, having those muscles, the mutant fibers, to migrate towards the fast, that's the challenge. It's very difficult.
Okay.
That's what we do in weightlifting. Every training, every session is to get those. Now, there is a very few people in the world, natural talents, that they naturally have this predisposition to have the mutant fibers to go towards the fast fibers at any time. That's where China, those countries with lots of lifters, they look
You can
for.
just find those people.
Yeah, go to schools. Colombia is becoming a fantastic country
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
in weightlifting. And what they do is they go to schools and they do some tests to kids. Long jump, 360-degree jump,
Okay.
and that's how they choose these kids to start weightlifting. Okay, so we put a lot of emphasis into that. Now you will be able to get those mutant fibers to go towards the fast fiber side
Yes.
with lots of training.
Right.
The problem here, Nick, is once you get this, the mutant fibers, or macrofibers as we call them, they get lazy. After 3 days, you don't use them.
Those
So
are
you
lazy fibers. Yeah.
when you go on a trip, on vacation,
Yeah.
for 3 or 4 days, your snatch is okay.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, you can't lift anything in clean and jerk. What
Yeah.
happens is those mutant fibers, or macrofibers, they got lazy. So that's why you need to keep them fast. That's the reason international athletes, elite athletes, if they compete in the afternoon, they work out in the morning.
Yeah.
We train with Carlos Andica from Colombia. He trains with us part of the year. So does his brother and some international athletes. And one of these guys, we have to make them train in the morning if they compete in the afternoon. Reason being is that they need to keep those fibers active at all times.
Okay. And so you would argue even that even within within the day, you can kind of keep them primed if you do something in the morning and then do something at night. I absolutely, a lot of my lifters will lift twice a day. And sometimes all they do is they just squat in the morning or something. Maybe not even super heavy, but they do something. And inevitably, their workouts in the afternoon are better on the days they squatted than the days they didn't.
Absolutely. And one of the things we do, our program is twice a day, lifting twice a day. Of course, Gwen can't do that. She only does twice a day on the weekends.
Okay.
So what we do is normally our lifters would squat in the morning.
Okay.
Okay. Then do snatch pulls. We don't do clean pulls. We don't
No
do
clean pulls
at all. No. there's a theory behind it. And in the afternoon, we would do the snatch
Yeah.
and clean and jerk exercise. Now, the exercises we use, as I said, in the preparatory stage, which is let's say in a 12-week program,
Okay.
which is very Soviet as well. A German cycle is like 20 weeks. That works great too. However, it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
So a lot of our international athletes can come only for 12 weeks.
So for
a 12-week
practical
period,
reasons, 12 weeks makes more sense. Yeah.
in the first 7 weeks, we emphasize a lot of the squats, lots of volume, and in the afternoon we do the snatch and clean and jerk. Now the exercises we use are power snatch,
Okay.
power snatch below the knee, clean and jerk, jerk behind the neck, never from the front, never. It's a no for the Soviet system.
So that's really fascinating. Okay, so you only do jerks from the front when it's an actual clean and jerk.
Right.
You don't do off the blocks from the front.
No, only from the back. We never do only cleans. We do clean and jerk behind the neck.
Okay.
And snatch pulls. We never do clean pulls.
Okay.
Okay?
No clean pulls and no cleans by themselves.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Now, the reason we only do snatch pulls is that, number one, the biomechanics of the snatch are very similar to the biomechanics of the clean and jerk.
Yes.
Okay? So, therefore, we put, and as you know, Russia emphasizes a lot the snatch. They have put a lot of money into researching systems to improve the snatch.
Yes.
So, the biomechanics of the snatch and the clean are similar. Now, the snatch pull, we only go to 100% of the best snatch. If your snatch is 100 kilos, we won't go more than 100 kilos.
Okay.
Because, despite of all here says, the snatch pull is a technical exercise.
Yes. Okay.
It's not a strength exercise.
Okay.
The snatch pull will help you with the lift off, with the first stage of the bar, or the first, crossing your knees.
Okay.
Passing your knees.
Yeah.
And then to gain speed. And also the snatch pull will make you practice, will make you make sure that the bar brushes your legs. It's close to you.
Yeah.
It's a technical exercise. We could do the clean and jerk. In the clean pulls.
Uh-huh.
The reason we don't do it is because since we're using a lot of weight, technique could get damaged by doing that.
Okay.
You can, number one, I've seen a lot of people lifting 100 kilos in clean and jerk and doing ugly bad pulls or deadlifts with 130.
Yeah.
When they should be doing is snatch pulls with 80 kilos, which would be the 100% of their snatch. It's a technical exercise. Now, a lot of people don't agree with our system. However, we have written proof. We have totals. We have competitions.
Yeah.
Gwen's last year in nationals snatched in 2001 75 kilos, clean and jerk 84 kilos. Right. This year's at nationals 80 kilos and 96 kilos, 63 kilos. In training, she got to do 82 and 102 in training. Of course.
And for the audience, keep in mind, she's not 20 years old.
Right.
So, it's even more, impressive in that regard.
Now, the other good aspect of the high volume repetition system is that it's an injury-free system.
That's pretty important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, another case that we work a lot is with our friend Carlos Andica from Colombia. In 2008, at the Olympic Games in Beijing, he did 201 in clean and jerk.
Okay.
Then he didn't do well. Last year at the Arnold, he did 180 kilos in clean and jerk, and a very nice deadlift with 190. He was not in the national Colombian team. He was not in the national team. So, and we spoke, and he came, and we worked this May of last year.
Okay.
We worked, and we did this analysis, this SWOT analysis.
Yeah.
We found out two things about him. Number one, he was pulling with his toes. Number two, the angle of his wrist in the jerk, he does the squat jerk.
Okay.
It's not proper for that type. So, and also the speed of the bar, he needed to go a little faster.
Okay.
So, that analysis was done. He worked on that. He increased the speed of the bar. He fixed the wrist. And at the Pan Ams last year, he did 205 kilos in clean and jerk. I didn't go to that competition, but I ran into the Cuban coach in France, in Paris last year. And this is what he told me. Ivan, I know the work Carlos done with you in your training center in the US. Let me tell you, when I saw him doing 205, my ass froze. Because he was competing against his lifter from Cuba.
Okay.
And because Carlos did 205 first, he was that was the recognized record, Pan Am record at this point.
Okay.
The Cuban also did 205, but since he did after, so that's not the recognized clean and jerk.
Yeah.
Now the goal of Carlos is medal at the Olympic Games in London. We already told him what he needs to do in back squat, front squat, power snatch. He's working towards that.
Yeah.
We'll see him lifting next week, actually, the Pan Ams,
where
he's going to go to a 90% of what he'll be doing in London.
Wow. So that is your work with him is a very good example of your philosophy of focusing very hard on the weaknesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that obviously they are, the weak link in the chain argument. If you don't fix up the weak link, you're going to break the chain.
Absolutely.
All right, that's really interesting. Now, I want to dial things back a little bit. Let's say you had somebody, so you did talk a little bit about a beginner. Since a lot of the people listening to the show are still very much in that early stage of learning, let's say you had a beginner come into the gym. Now, you mentioned you would usually watch them for a few days first to get an idea. Do you have some basic beginner ideas, like how beginners start training?
Absolutely. I do have a lot of beginners or athletes that have been exposed to weightlifting to some extent.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I respect them.
Yeah.
I respect them. I respect every single athlete because, let's face it, Nick, weightlifting is the most boring sport.
Right. I call my gym the house of boredom.
Because you keep doing all this volume, all these repetitions inside the gym. Here in Maine, summer is beautiful. You could be riding a bicycle outside, but no, you're in the gym.
Yeah.
When it comes to competition, that's when all the adrenaline comes into action, competing. There's no feeling like the feeling competing. Yeah. And it's easy to qualify. Yeah. If you're a wrestler, you have to get your ass kicked 30 times before you go to the net to state. Here, easy. You just need to do the minimum qualifier. You go to nationals, and you make Team USA, whatever you want. Yeah. So it's easier to make a team. Yeah. With hard work, that is. Yeah. Yeah. Now, all these new people that come here, I have to tell you, they try to impress me with their technique. Let's put that way. Yeah. They fancy clothes, fancy shoes. A lot of them don't wear my shoes; they wear Adidas just to spite you. And I do observe them. I do tell them very nice. And then when I start working with them, This is what I do. I give them toilet paper.
Okay.
I tell them, take a piece or two, whatever you want. And they take 3, 4 pieces each lifter. And I ask, okay, how many pieces did you take? One says 2. Okay, tell me 2 facts about Olympic weightlifting. They go, oh. They come with, yeah, the last nice thing that one of the lifters said is, Chadvo is the only American Olympic champion. That was the answer of somebody else. Or somebody. So the fact is, people don't know much about weightlifting.
Yeah.
And we need
not even 2 facts.
That's what I do. The next thing I do is I play Western music, and I give them a cowboy hat and a gun, toy gun, and I tell them face to face, when I clap my hands, you shoot at each other. Let's see who is faster. And they start doing that, and they think it's stupid at first, and they question me, why are we doing this? We're going for weightlifting. Okay. The act of fighting a duel and weightlifting are very similar. Why is that? Because in many activities, many sports, cycling, marathon, swimming, we use the central nervous system, the brain. However, in weightlifting, we use the parasympathetic system. Medulla. We don't use the brain, we use the medulla. Mechanical response. Right. You don't think about it.
Yeah.
So you need to learn how to react. Quick reaction. We do that, and the one thing is, if you see the bar goes 120, 130 centimeters per second, you can't think, pull the bar, pocket, funnel. You can't do that. So what we do is we start working on technique. Yeah. We use the inverted surf system or reverse system.
Right.
We teach from
the top down.
Head squats. It's not just from the chest. It's not just from the hips and below the knees. So vice versa. Many repetitions of that. Sure. And we always put a line of tape, a piece of tape on the platform, and the task is not to jump that.
So not jumping forward.
Right, or backwards.
Very common. Yeah.
That's how we do. And then we go, after we do that, we do lots of back squat. Then jerks behind the neck. Okay. And we emphasize a lot in jerks behind the neck. Why? The Russians or the Soviets, they did lots of studies. Okay. About world competitions, international competitions, world competitions. Now, they found out that in some competitions, there were too many misses at that level. 77.3% of competitions at maximum, of misses at maximum weights. I'm talking about third attempts. Yes. Or maximum weights, and out of that 77.3%, 77.9% were misses in the clean and jerk, not in the snatch.
Okay, so they're doing better by a lot in the snatch than in the clean and jerk.
At maximum weights.
At maximum weights, yes.
Now, out of that high percentage of misses in the clean and jerk, over 80%, mid-80, almost 90% were misses in the jerk portion. Okay? You already cleaned the bar. Come on, just go under the bar.
Right, you're almost done.
So they had to do lots of analysis. To start with, the jerk is one of the most difficult movements because of its speed. Sure. The speed of
there's a line I think about the jerk, which is that I like, which is that it's the easiest of the 3 to learn. It's the hardest to master.
Absolutely, The speed of the bar, average internationally at 70% in the snatch, 1.7 meters per second. Speed of the bar at 70% from international level, 2.56, 2.7 meters per second.
And remember, you had said the snatch moves at, what do you say, 1.7?
Yeah,
Right.
70%
So this is
at international level. That's an average, give or
average.
take.
Yeah. But that puts the jerk quite a bit faster.
Now, okay, the split jerk will make it better, more effective. The squat jerk, the power jerk, it doesn't matter. It's not important if you do a splitter and the jerk, if you do overhead. No. What is important, it's the bounce. It's the impulse. It's trust the bar. Okay?
So that
The
drive
angle of the
phase.
knees.
Yeah, that's the key.
They need to be from 165 degrees to 177.
Okay.
Knees towards the sides. Otherwise, if the knees are in the front, all the impulses, all the force you're trying to create, pushing from your heels, is going to fade away. It's going to go away. Okay. Now,
So you emphasize spreading the knees as you go down and coming up.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the Russians studied, they tried 6 exercises to improve the jerk.
Okay.
Jerk from front, building bigger muscles on the shoulder.
Sure.
6 different exercises. And the exercise that gave them better results was jerks from behind the neck.
Okay.
Why? Number one, you could apply the forces better, more effectively. If you see from the side, the bar goes straight from behind. You can use more weight.
Yeah. So you're overloading the jerk a little bit.
Yes. It's easier to do technical corrections. Okay? And the number of injuries of athletes doing in training jerks from behind the neck, 0. The number of athletes with injuries doing front, a bunch.
Okay.
A lot.
This is because from the front, it's of course more technical. You have to get it around your face somehow and all of that, right?
Absolutely. And you don't have, it's more difficult.
Yeah.
To get momentum from the front.
And yet, even though there is a difference there, obviously technically it's just a little bit between going it from behind and from in front of your head, the carryover you're saying is actually quite substantial.
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing is you can lift a lot of weights.
Yeah.
A lot of weight. Heavier.
And we like that.
Like that.
That is true. Okay, so you're saying for beginners then you focus a lot on snatch technique. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Back squats, getting the back squats up as much as you can, because of course you believe that to be a very important driver of success. Jerks behind the neck.
Right.
Are those the 3 key? Do you have anything else you really focus a lot on at the beginning, or is that the main?
Snatch pulls.
Snatch pulls, okay. But
also
with nothing
jumps.
more than a maximum.
Right. With beginners, we start with the bar.
Yeah, okay.
The kids bar.
Because this is a technical exercise.
Right. Also, we do a lot of speed exercises. Now, the best way why do we do short sprints or jumps? To get faster, more effective in weightlifting. Okay? Right. And we found out that the best time to do it is after you finish the snatch, clean and jerk, you do a little jumps or short sprints, then you do the squats. That's when you really are going to take advantage of all these short sprints or jumps. Okay. Now, what the best jumps that the Kiva system found are jumps with bar behind the neck, empty bar, and just jumps. 3 sets of 10. We're just holding the bar with a snatch grip. 3 sets of 10.
Are you jumping as hard as you can?
Not really, just a little.
Just kind of hopping.
Soft.
Oh, okay, interesting.
It's uh, Nick, high jumpers from the
Yeah.
Olympic Games of 1904. I think that was 1904. That was Greece. In the vertical jump, they could jump higher than our current jumpers.
That's an interesting fact.
What made the difference? The difference was made in how they approach technique.
Okay.
When they before they would jump from the side front, then they came with this scissor style, looks like a scissor from the side.
Uh-huh.
Then they came with the newest technique. They jump, they twist their feet, and they jump backwards.
Sure.
This twist, that was one of the most amazing findings in the sports research. With that twist in the jumping, they were able to jump as high as they jump now. Wow. That's what basketball players are using too. You see when they play, they jump, they do this twist on the toe. Now we could find something that would work that well lifted. That is not.
So you'd have the squat snatch, the split snatch, and the twist snatch.
It wouldn't apply, but that's one of the. So lifters from the 60s, way stronger than our lifters.
Yeah.
You know that. Paul Anderson.
Sure, yeah.
Paul Anderson, Tommy Kono, all those guys were way, way, way stronger than current weightlifters. Yeah. What has evolved is technique and training systems. Recovery. Okay. Recovery is important, very important.
Yeah. Because you can do more. If you recover better, you can do more, and you can go
absolutely
farther, faster.
Absolutely. That's everything.
Yeah, and because that point about recovery, I want to touch on that a little bit. There's sometimes the fact that weightlifting is so much this combination of two things that sometimes are not. They can get in each other's way. There's a strength side, and you have to have a certain level of strength. If you can't back squat 100 kilos, you are certainly not going to snatch it. So you have to have that, enough strength. But on the other side, you have to have a significant amount of technical skill.
Absolutely.
That you can get a lot of technique that looks pretty passable really fast, but it's going to take you a very long time to get really good technique. And of course, with technical stuff, just like say with learning how to play the piano, if you can do it practicing your piano 3 times a day, you're going to get better faster than if you practice your piano 3 times a week.
Absolutely.
And the snatch is certainly very similar to that. And I think, obviously, it is true that there's this, unlike playing the piano, snatching is more fatiguing to your body, so recovery becomes a bigger deal. But you're talking a lot about repetitions at levels that are not as fatiguing.
Absolutely.
70, 80, 90, in that range, versus, say, hitting a 95% of your snatch, for 20 reps in a day. That's just not feasible for most people,
Absolutely.
Whereas you can get significantly more repetitions than that at the lower rep ranges, which is still relatively heavy. That's not, it's not like it's light to be doing a 80.
Yeah.
That's still a lot of work. But your body can take it, and you can do a lot.
Yeah, your body gets adapted to anything.
Gets adapted, yeah.
You get the adaptation. And it's important also, rest is important, vitamins, complex B, vitamin B is extremely important for the stress we give to our body.
Okay. So for recovery, so you said a few of the things here, like vitamin B and a few of the other things. Are there some other things you believe people can do better? Obviously, sleep is one. Are there some dietary advices you have or anything like that?
Massage always works well. Massage. Now, an advice that really, really works well with my lifters. I don't know if you've seen my lift. Well, you only saw Gwen. If you will see something, if you went to a competition, you will see that all my lifters are awake. And when they compete, even though they might not go 6 for 6, they go and if they don't do their best, they try their best. so they're awake.
Yeah.
It's not that they take tons of coffee before lifting. Something that we do is I'm passing the secret. This is the secret. Is this. The day of the competition, right after the weigh-in, if the lifter takes 2 grams of vitamin C, you're going to have an energetic and awake lifter trying to do their best. There's studies that prove that consuming at that time vitamin C, 2 grams of vitamin C should do the trick. You have an athlete willing to do it, the athlete doesn't get tired.
Okay. So putting a pretty heavy emphasis on some of these key nutrients that sometimes we just forget about. It would be a wise move, you're saying, for
Absolutely.
in the audience. That's I think really intelligent. Well, I want to sort of finish off a little bit with just discussing a little bit your company, Risto Sports, before we sign off. What was the driver behind starting it in the first place? I mean, it's a crazy thing to start a company.
It came it was a dream.
It was a dream, okay.
No, not just like a dream. It was a dream.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I started at 15. When I was 18, 19, my life was weightlifting. It's still weightlifting.
Yeah.
But it was my whole life. I didn't go to my prom ceremony because I had nationals that week. Competed at Pan Am Games at 17, my first. And my whole life was weightlifting. Yeah. Back in the 80s, the Bulgarians, at that time, Naim Shalamanov, then he came Suleymanov, and then Suleymanoglu. But at first Shalamanov, that was his name. Seeing him, seeing Stefan Botev, seeing all these fantastic Bulgarian, and there's always this myth, whether anyone in the world weightlifting in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
So when I was 20, I had a dream that I went to Bulgaria to compete in Bulgaria. Then I went to the Bulgarian Federation and bought me a pair of weightlifting shoes at the Bulgarian Federation. That was my dream. Okay, times have passed. In 23 years passed, and when Gwen did qualify for the Olympic trials of 2008, she didn't make the Olympic team. So, in order to get some different type of training, we decided to go to Bulgaria to train for the Olympic trials. So I got in touch with somebody I was roommates with in Bulgaria, in Cuba, when I was training in Cuba. And he said, come to the Bulgarian Federation, we'll help you out, we'll train here. So we went to Bulgaria, and we went to the Federation. I don't think any American has been to that office, ever. We were received by the Federation, by the president. And we ran into Stefan Botev, who had his shoe company. I bought a pair of shoes from him. We talked to him, and we started a company with Stefan Botev. As a matter of fact, our company first name was Risto Sports.
Okay.
And we would sell Stefan Botev shoes. But then things. Stefan Botev is more into politics. I think he's the mayor of the city hall, something. So it was difficult doing business with Bulgaria. So we started our own company.
Wow.
And with our company, we started working with the elite athletes from Colombia. Right. We travel all over the world. We go to seminars, competitions, whatever they have at nationals, we would go visit, show our products. For this context I was invited to go to China. As a matter of fact, I was the first American coach ever to train with the Chinese, with the female team, with the national team. And that was the start. The projection is we want to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
We wanna. One of the things is that not only making shoes, weightlifting shoes, but to promote the sport as well. We have the Risto and Andika non-profit company
Okay.
where we get athletes from all over the world, especially from third countries, like third world countries like Guatemala.
Okay.
We help athletes from those countries to come to the U.S., train with us, or whatever needs they might have. We are involved with the USA Weightlifting. We're one of the sponsors. And I'm telling you, we would love to help USA lifters,
Yeah.
American lifters, but it's for some experiences we had, it was a little difficult
Mm-hmm.
with our own lifters. That makes me sad.
Yeah.
In some case, of course, I'm not gonna say names, but we try to help, a highly ranked lifter from the U.S. We have plans for this lifter.
Okay.
We started with sports equipment, then probably some stipend, paying something like that.
Sure.
But this particular athlete would not wanted all the equipment, but didn't want the logo of Risto Sports.
Sure.
Didn't like our logo. I mean, it has to be two sides.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So we had other lifters that have gotten help from us,
Okay.
going to forums, recommending the whole world to use shoes from different brand or our brand.
Uh-huh.
So as I said, it's been difficult working with USA, with American lifters, but we're open to, absolutely.
Sure. And you started with the shoes, and that's sort of the flagship product for
Absolutely.
Risto Sports. But you also have other things. You now made you got this new USA singlet, which is pretty
Yes, that's the newest product we got. As a matter of fact, it's by far the best product you will find, better than any other leading brand, due to materials we're using and a new type of technology in the leg area. Instead of using an elastic, we're using an elastic gel that we get from Italy,
Okay, interesting.
and it sets well on your legs. And also, when you put the singlet on, it feels like you have nothing on it. It's so soft. So soft.
So if you're a streaker, this is great.
Yes. It feels soft.
Yeah, oh, that's great.
And another thing is, you will see that in many competitions, when somebody bends over, most singlets are see-through.
Yeah, yeah.
These are not. We have a special material, a special composition of the material that would prevent from that.
Okay, so also if you're modest,
Absolutely.
this is a good thing. All right, well, man, it's been a great. There's so much good stuff that we got out of this with you. I really appreciate it, man. So again, where can people find more about you and Risto Sports? What website can they go to?
Ristosports.com.
Ristosports.com. And I'll make sure in the show notes on Weightlifting Academy for this interview, I'll have a link to that. I'll also have a link to the particular blog post he was talking about
Absolutely.
earlier with all the discussion about volume and that kind of thing. Again, I really appreciate it. It was an awesome interview.
Thank you. My pleasure. Anytime, Nick.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you very much, man.
I'll see you at the American Open, I guess.
Yes, definitely. I'll be there.